As they say, open sesame. When I was a police officer, this was old Sam's station. He handled the archive. He knew the location of every file by heart. You told him the name of a guy, and he could tell you which rack and shelf it was on. He was a good man whose job was to file murder and assault reports. I don't see anything interesting there. New York Police, you can trust us. I didn't trust the police when I was an officer. Imagine now that I'm accused of murder. It's fine where it is. All the files on the people arrested by various New York departments are here. Everyone has a 7-digit number. Without it, it's impossible to find the information you're looking for. Interesting. If you put the name of the person you're looking for in this sort of calculator, you get the number of his file. I wonder what old Sam would think if he knew he'd been replaced by this gadget. Samuel Cutter's file is 6120057. I should remember it. All the files on the people, everyone has a 7-digit number. Without the ID number of the file I need, I won't find anything. Folder 6120057, Samuel Cutter. Here you are, Samuel Cutter. Samuel Cutter, attorney, jailed on May 7, 1933 for the murder of 4 police officers. Samuel Cutter, attorney. It's a summary of the trial where Cutter was accused of murdering 4 police officers. The verdict was unanimous, innocent, due to lack of evidence. In this city, your innocence is proportionate to how good your lawyers are. Cutter's lawyers must have been the best on the block. It's a summary of the trial where, in this city, here's the report on Cutter's incarceration. It looks like it's the work of that snake, Malone. Like Moore said, after his arrest, many others from Black Lily were arrested too, definitively dismantling the organization. The boss and his crew were arrested, and then there was peace. Not even the movies have such happy endings. Patrick Olson's name is among those of the people who were arrested. That's the same name Victoria mentioned when she was talking about the case in which Sean's name came up. Patrick Olson's file is 6088090. File 6088090, Patrick Olson. Let's see what I can find in this file. Patrick Olson, a gardener. This man's profile doesn't really seem to be that of a criminal. It looks more like that of an ideal neighbor. His arrest report. He was with his family when they arrested him for the bombing of Rick's Cafe on the night of November 5th, 1933. A regular gardener without any record who blows up a cafe on 81st Street. Kind of odd. The report is just a bunch of pointless bureaucratic stuff. There are no details about the bombing. Newspapers. The New York Voice, to be precise. As soon as it's printed, at least a dozen copies are filed here, for research. I'll look for the edition from... No, this date doesn't tell me anything. I'll look for the edition from... It's the date of the bombing of Rick's Cafe that Patrick Olson was blamed for. There must be more information about it in the paper. Here's the article about the bombing. The article says that at 12:23 a.m., an explosion completely destroyed Rick's Cafe, a joint on 81st Street near Central Park. 3 people died in the explosion. The cafe's owner, Nick Fantini, 43 years old, married. A woman walking by the joint, Eleanor Guter, 37 years old, teacher. And August Zindler, 58 years old, esteemed archaeology professor at the Civic Museum in New York. Zindler. Professor Zindler. Dannazione. It's the same name that was in my dream. So far, these visions have always been correct. Maybe I should visit the Civic Museum in New York.
Ah, you again. Where we go this time?
The Civic Museum, Central Park.
We see.
Civic Museum of New York. It closed about 3 years ago for some expansion work, but the crisis stopped everything halfway. Since then, it's stayed this way, a mausoleum of our past that no one cares about anymore. This museum has been closed for at least 3 years. The economic crisis has convinced more than one mayor that continuing to invest in the past isn't a good deal. Years back, these tanks had water in them. Now they look more like a dump for construction materials. The museum's opening hours. Obviously, they don't offer any night visits. The world of dinosaurs. It It's a shame I'm no longer that age where you get excited by seeing the bones of something that died thousands of years ago. This museum has been closed. The economic crisis. The main entrance to the museum. I seriously doubt they left the doors unlocked. I seriously doubt they left the doors unlocked. Some scaffolding parts. I think I can do without it. All the windows are closed. These windows are too thick and strong to be broken or forced open. All the windows are a rusted ladder. I don't need it right now, but when I want to get a tetanus infection, I know where to go. Nothing interesting here. There's my reward for having traveled halfway across Manhattan to get here. The door is open, and it certainly wasn't the caretaker who left it like that. The lock was shot in. Whoever it was had to be very interested in something that's inside the museum, or what was inside the museum. I don't think anyone will be too upset if I take a little nighttime tour of the museum. These crates must contain the exhibits that are being moved from the various rooms. These crates must... A map of ancient Persia. The newspaper article that I found at the police department was about the professor's studies on Persia. I don't see anything interesting here. I don't see anything interesting here. I don't see... The display cases were all emptied. There's nothing inside them. I'll admit that these beasts must have been pretty scary at their time, but nothing compared to an ambitious New York lawyer. The showcase is empty. All the exhibits must have been moved somewhere else. Probably out of fear that they might have gotten damaged during the work, or that some worker might have decided to take a souvenir home. These are the renovation plans for the museum. I can't think of anything. This is the way to the various rooms in the museum, but I still have no idea where I should go. A map of ancient Persia. The newspaper article that I found at the police department was about the professor's studies on Persia. Professor August Zindler. So the professor was the curator of the Islamic area. And from what I read, that's where his office was. Better take a look, even though I have no idea where this Islamic area might be. I can't go through the entire museum looking for the Islamic area. I'd definitely get lost. I could use this floor plan to figure out where the Islamic area is. That's where Professor Zindler had his office. But the room names have been replaced with numbers on these floor plans, and I won't get far unless I find out the number for the professor's area of expertise. These crates must contain the exhibits that are being moved from the various rooms. Some crates are labeled, but it's too dark to see what's written on them. Let's see. The label says the find in this case comes from Kaole, Tanzania. It was displayed in room 20 before it was moved here. Let's see. The label says the find in this case comes from Ishimche in Guatemala. It was displayed in room 28 before it was moved here. Let's see. The label says the find in this case comes from Rome, Italy. It was displayed in room 6 before it was moved here. These crates, unlike the others, are not labeled. These crates, unlike the other, these crates. These crates. Let's see. The label says the find in this case comes from Samarra, Iraq. It was displayed in room 13 before it was moved here. Iraq should be in Professor Zindler's area of expertise. I should check on the Islamic map. A map of ancient Persia. I don't see anything interesting here. Samarra. That's the same name I read on one of the crates in the atrium, so its contents must be displayed in the Islamic area. It was from room 13. Room 13 must be the old Islamic area, and that's where the professor's office must be. Now I have to find the directions to room 13. Wandering around the museum would not be a good idea. Now that I know that room 13 is the Islamic area, I shouldn't have any problems finding it, thanks to this map. Good. Now all I have to do is find Professor Zindler's office in room 13. Not now. Not now. It wasn't easy, but eventually I made it to my destination. Crates, probably waiting to be transferred to another room. A long wait considering they've been here for years. Nice chandelier. It'd look great in my office. This museum's architect must have gone wild when he designed this room. It's the first time I've seen a water tank in a museum. This crate is open. There's nothing inside. It doesn't make any sense. Representations of cuneiform writing on Sumerian tablets. That's what the label says. Even the display cases in this room were emptied. There's just some dust in them. Graphic reproduction of a ziggurat, a Templar construction from Mesopotamia. At least that's what the label says. Even the display... Professor Zindler's office. They're empty. There's no... Lots of books, old photographs, and some museum pieces. The professor's office seems pretty normal. Normal if it weren't for a dead body in the middle of the room. There is no doubt that this is Professor Zindler. It's the same face I saw in the newspaper. His body is cold, but not too much. He can't have been dead more than 7 hours. And that bullet hole in his forehead makes me think that he didn't die of natural causes. There is no doubt that this is Professor Zindler. It's the same face I saw in the newspaper. The newspaper said that he had died during the bombing of Ricky's cafe, so either the professor is back from the dead, or the bombing was just a setup. I think I believe in the second option, even though the first one is definitely very fascinating. Better not touch it. I'm already being investigated for Sean's death. Leaving my fingerprints on a second dead body wouldn't be a great idea. It's an archaeology degree given to Professor August Zindler. A picture of the Tower of Babel. According to the Bible, mankind started building it to reach God. and God punished them by making everyone speak a different language so that they couldn't finish it. Looks like I still remember something of those catechism lessons my mother made me go to when I was a kid. A map of ancient Mesopotamia. Only other books and photographs of archaeological digs. There are all kinds of books. Most are about ancient Persia and Middle Eastern civilizations. There's a dictaphone on the table. It looks like it was used recently. A dictaphone. This device can record a few minutes of voice recordings on wax cylinders. This is the support you put the wax cylinders on in order to record a message or listen to it again. It's the dictaphone's on-off button. A dictaphone. On the desk, there are some drawings of spirals. They don't seem to have been done by an adult. I'm not going to pick up every object that I find around. It looks like someone slept on this sofa. The professor is at least 5'7", so he is definitely too tall for this sofa. It means it couldn't have been him using it. Doesn't look like a great place to take a nap. Some books are missing from this shelf, and it looks like they were taken in a hurry. The only books left are those on esotericism. Whatever could have been useful in here has already been taken away. These must be theology textbooks, given the number of times that the words God and divine recur in them. There's at least a dozen different versions of the Old Testament. Some seem pretty old. Books on history and archaeology. Some of these are written in German. There's something on the ground.